Welcome to 2026 and the latest episode of the Grown Ass Woman's Guide. So the topic of side hustles has come up a lot lately with some of the women I'm talking to. Many people are looking to make a little extra cash in order to make ends meet. Some people are looking to start a business and just want to start with baby steps. And others are just completely exhausted after doing the same job for the last several decades, and they're open to making a shift. No matter the side hustle, there are lots of different ways for us to make more money in 2026. Yes, that's what I said. More money in 2026. Are you with me? So a couple of months ago, I stumbled upon a woman who was teaching baby boomer and Gen X women how to create user-generated content. Now, I am not talking about becoming an influencer. I'm talking about having no following, not needing to get out there in front of your friends and family, create content for businesses, and get paid for it, sometimes quite handsomely. And the idea that brands are looking to work specifically with baby boomer and Gen X women, I feel like Sally Field, you like me.
You like me right now. You like me.
It is undeniable. This is a huge opportunity for those of us who are interested. So I did what I do when I find someone interesting. I went down the rabbit hole looking for answers for all of us. I followed Megan Collier on TikTok and Instagram, and I registered for her course. And it is the real deal. And so, of course, I invited her here to talk about all things user-generated content and how it might be the best side hustle or next career move for you. Let's dive in. So I recently polled my community, and one of the things they're very passionate about is side hustles.
Okay.
And so there are a few different options that I wanted to present to them, and creating user-generated content is absolutely one of them. So first, take me back to when you first got into it personally. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. So it was summer of 2022, so over 3 years ago. I was just kind of looking for something without really knowing what I was going to do. I tried other, side hustles in the past, tried a bunch of stuff that basically did not work, right? Like a lot of people, I think, can relate to that. And so
I have no idea what you're talking about, Megan.
Exactly. Very relatable. So I like a lot of other people, I was just scrolling mindlessly on TikTok, and I saw someone mention UGC, and I was actually working in marketing. So I was doing some social media stuff, but it was for a medical company. It was nothing like UGC. And so it caught my attention. It made sense to me, but I just had no previous knowledge that brands were even willing to work with people without any followers. And that's what caught my attention. So I looked more into it. It made sense. I needed to make extra money, like a lot of us do. And so I got started with UGC, and, I just kind of saw what other people are doing. I followed some people that were doing it on TikTok and put the pieces together, made a simple portfolio on Canva, and just started going crazy, reaching out to brands. And that was like within 10 days, I landed my first UGC deal. And the rest is kind of history. Yeah. Then I was hooked, and I was like, okay, I think I can probably repeat the process and keep going. So
that's awesome. So one of the things that I notice about user-generated content, though, is we don't have to show up as this model or pretend that we've got it all together, or this speaks my language, because you can come as you are and brands actually want to work with you. Is that what happened for you?
I got started in a very dark old apartment. And so it was nothing crazy. It was nothing fancy. Yeah, I also thought that, brands want to work with people that look like they have their life together, have a gorgeous home with all this natural light. And it just yes, of course, there's some brands that want that. But with UGC, I have found that so many brands, especially now in 2025, going into 2026, it's going to be the same thing. Brands want authenticity because consumers want authenticity. And so showing up as you are in the home that you live in, with, whether you're into makeup, whether you're not into makeup, it's a whole spectrum. And so I think that those who are leaning into whatever makes them them, whatever makes them human, are just doing a great job right now with UGC, and brands love it.
That's awesome. So break it down a little bit Because I can imagine someone listening going like, is that the same thing as being an influencer? So like, what's the difference between being an influencer and creating user-generated content?
Yes. So with influencers, which obviously are still very relevant, tons of brands have a chunk of their marketing budget allocated to influencers. But with UGC, you are getting paid to create content that brands can take and use for their own marketing purposes. So that's why followers don't really matter with UGC. And that's one of the most, that was like a relief to me. And it's a relief to a lot of people because I think previously and still to this day, so many people believe they need tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers in order to get brands' attention and want them to, work with you. But with UGC, again, you're just creating the content because companies need so much content to even exist, to stay relevant on social media. So with UGC, it's not like they're hiring you and then you post it to your own socials and they're relying on your followers or in your engagement rate to get the sales. They just need the content, right? Whether that is for random Instagram reels that they're posting throughout the month, or maybe they're testing a bunch of different ad videos to increase their revenue. So it's amazing.
So I guess this is good news because then you don't have to put it on your own social media. So whether you have like a judgmental sister or a nosy neighbor, like they're not seeing any of this because it's just on the brand social, right?
Usually not. I've gotten texts from people, like, hey, what people from college I was talking to, and they're like, hey, what are you up to? Like, I just saw, you did something for an app or whatever. And those are always kind of, funny, but I have found like that is a worry of so many people, right? It's a worry that your friends or family are going to see like what you're doing. But, one thing I always tell my students is ask yourself, are they paying your bills? Are they like, did you get paid $500 for a very simple video that you got to do on a random Wednesday, right? So when you think about it from that perspective, you kind of get over it pretty quick.
Yeah, that's awesome. So speaking of your students, so when I first saw you, a millennial, which by the way, I was like, I don't know if she's a millennial, she's Gen Z, because like you have that youthful look about you. And I'm like, why is she talking to Gen X and boomers? And I'm like, that perfectly Gen X response of like, you don't know us, Yeah. But you're killing it. And you speak to Gen X and boomers in a way that I think we need to hear. And so I was like, okay, I'm listening, I'm watching, I want to see what she's doing here. And so what made you go, I'm doing this UGC thing. You know who I really want to talk to is Gen X and boomers. Like, how'd that happen?
Oh, yeah. It seems very random. And I love that you said that because I'd imagine so many people are also thinking that. But that's why
wouldn't you feel that way if like a Gen Z was like, I'm going to talk to millennials? You're like, stay in your lane, Gen Z.
100%. So exactly. But I'll tell you the story that it kind of puts the pieces together. So 2 years ago, I had pitched to a footwear company. I was wearing their shoes and I had plantar fasciitis and that kind of like healed my feet, and it was crazy. And I became obsessed with this brand of shoes called Kuru Footwear. And I pitched to them. I got on a call with 4 people on their marketing team. The call was going well. I was basically just trying to convince them to hire me and do some UGC because of my experience with their shoes. And they agreed to hire me for 3 UGC videos. But toward the end of the call, I happened to mention, we were just kind of doing small talk, and I happened to mention that my mom, who's in her 60s, is the one that told me about their shoes. Because she's a nurse, she's been on her feet, she only wears Kuru footwear. And so right when I said that, at least one of them kind of lit up a little bit. And they were like, oh my gosh, do you think your mom would maybe be up for being in one of the videos? And I'm like, oh my gosh, 100%. My mom loves me. She would totally be down.
Amazing.
They were like, okay, that's great. And this is the really big info is that they told me she's more part of our demographic. Like that's who we sell most of our shoes to is people around your mom's age. And I was like, oh, okay, that totally makes sense. I did not think anything of it. We did the video. They sent us some shoes. We did the video. They loved it. Ran it as an ad for a very long time. And it performed so great. And we had so much fun doing it. And then a few months later, I was thinking, like, this cannot be the only company that wants to work with people around my mom's age, because I mean, there's obviously so many companies with that same target demographic. And so I had been posting since day one of my UGC journey over on TikTok, letting people know like what I was up to and just kind of keeping myself accountable. And I was connected with a lot of UGC creators. I started to realize I did not know anybody around my mom's age that I knew of actively pursuing UGC and doing UGC. And so I saw this kind of gap in the market where there had to be more brands wanting to work with Gen X and boomers. And so I talked about it. I just like recorded a video and was like, hey, if you're a Gen X or a boomer, between these ages, I think there's a lot of brands that want to work with you for XYZ reason. And it went viral, and I had two things happen. One, so many people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond were commenting on that video saying, how the heck can I do this? I want to do this. I did not even know UGC existed. And so I saw so many people being interested in this and just not having the right tools and knowing anything about it. And then on the flip side of that, I also had brands reaching out to me directly saying, thank you for educating and just encouraging Gen X and boomers to get into UGC because we're a brand and we want to work with more of them. And so I was like, okay, I probably shouldn't stop talking about this. And then I didn't. So it's been like over a year and a half later, and I've just, every day I talk about this, and every single day I see more and more people that previously had no clue that this was even an option for them get into this space and own their age, find it to be a superpower and massive leverage in working with brands. And ultimately, so many people changing their lives through UGC, which has been amazing.
That's awesome. I mean, there's so many transitions happening right now with Gen X and boomers as far as like leaving jobs, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not of their own accord. And I also think that we went through, I will say as a Gen X woman, a very many years of brands not caring about us at all. And it was like we hit 40 and it was like, oh, look, you're invisible. And with the internet and, social media, I think that's changed. And so there's so much opportunity for that, which is like so great. Let me ask you, what kind of women? So I just picture like tech savvy, comfortable on camera, media friendly women that you're working with. But what kind of women are you really working with in UGC?
Oh my goodness. I have those women and they do great. But I also have a massive chunk of my students that have literally never recorded themselves ever. And this is coming out of like left field. And I say that in my videos. I'm like, I know maybe you never have thought about doing this. Like, trust me, I know it maybe feels very, very uncomfortable, but I have found, even if that's the case, that group of women and men that are just not comfortable being on camera, but they're willing to just do it and treat it like a muscle and just practice getting comfortable and have fun with it, knowing they're going to get better and better, and give, like I always try to remind people as often as possible, the word grace, right? We've got to give ourselves grace at the beginning because those are going to be the roughest videos. Those are going to be the videos that you look back, like I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a little bit cringe. I did not really know what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Like we all start there. At least most of us do. And it's okay. The ones that are willing to have fun with it and just persevere, those are the people that end up absolutely crushing it.
That's awesome. And now I know that there's probably no typical, but like how successful do you think someone could be creating UGC content?
Yeah, it's a complete range. So I have people that start UGC with the goal of just, maybe even eliminating bills. So like when you get into the pet UGC space, a lot of people spend a lot of money on their pets. And their goal is to put their pets to work a little bit and maybe eliminate their dog food bill, or people are into dog supplements or whatever it is, right? Eliminate a couple $100, a few $100 per month by just getting free products. So that there's obviously that opportunity of getting free products. I'm in the space of really equipping people with the right tools to get paid on top of free products. So a lot of people come in, and whether they have a goal of $1,000 a month, like I did at the beginning, or a few $1,000s a month, the more, just like any contract work, the more you put into it, the more you're going to see out of it and get out of it. So, I have students making a few $1,000s a month and covering their entire mortgage. And then I have other students who are making like $10,000 consistently every month, up to $15,000. So the opportunities are kind of unlimited for those that are willing to just kind of own the space. I have one student who's in her 50s, Heather. She was running an antique selling business in Minnesota, and she saw me. She was like, maybe I should get into this. She ended up shutting down her business and now does UGC full time. She just had her first $10,000 month in October. Yeah, she started, I think, in the spring. So it's a total range, and obviously it's, you can't guarantee how much you're going to make. But the possibilities are fantastic, and the type of brands you can work with are just all across the board, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's very exciting. And thank you for saying, like, yeah, free product is great, but free product doesn't pay the bills. And I think that, like, as women, we're like, be polite, don't ask for too much, like, go get your money, girl, like, go get paid.
100%. Right? And I think, and it helps a lot of people, because I do see a lot of women get into this space. And again, like, they start like not comfortable on camera, right? It's a very like out of their comfort zone. And so they often start with these lower paying gigs to get comfortable on camera and maybe get some reviews. And that's completely fine. If that is your journey, if that's what's going to help you gain some confidence, 100%. But I also like to consistently remind people that the value you're bringing to these brands is massive. So just to give like a little bird's eye view, it's if a company hires you for, let's just say on a conservative side, like $300 for one UGC video, it is very possible that they're going to take that video they paid you $300 for, run it as an ad across social media, and spend sometimes like 6 figures on your video that you created for them. If they're spending that much money, they're making at least 2 times that on the product sales, right? So though they paid you $300, and though that might be amazing to you, and it is amazing, you have to think about it like, am I worthy of getting paid $300? Yes, because you are bringing so much incredible value to the brand. You are allowing them, because of your skills as a content creator, to make more money, right? So once you know the skill of how to, take a product, how to film it on your phone, whatever one you have, and create a video that allows companies to sell more of their products and be profitable at the end of the day, it starts to click how truly valuable you are.
Right. So just as a side note, I would like full disclosure, I'm in your course now. I'm super excited. I love it. And, you teach people too, like, don't just give your video away in, perpetuity. There are like, you can use it this long. There are negotiating tactics. There are contracts. This is all very professional. And I love the way you empower your students to know that, like, no, you don't just give away for $300 your likeness so that they can make millions of dollars like that. Sorry to say, that's absolute bullshit. And so I love that you're calling it out and you're like, hey, let me help you. This is how that should look. So thank you for that too.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. And I think it's important. We only know what we know, right? So if people get into this and they don't know about usage rights, or they don't know what exactly the brand is going to do with the content they create, it kind of fails them, right? So I think that knowing and being just knowledgeable about what your options are as a content creator, you're going to start to see a lot more revenue come in for you, and just also the doors that can open for you in multiple ways as a content creator.
Yeah. It's so funny. I just had this memory of back in, like, I would say 2008 or 9, my son was 3 years old probably. And he used to fall asleep eating pizza. Like, it was the cutest thing. He would still be eating and like chomp, and you could hear like the mouth noises, which make me crazy, but you could hear the mouth noises in the video, and he would just be falling asleep. And I worked in TV at the time, and Ellen DeGeneres wanted to run it on her show. And then I got a call from this bagel company, and they're like, we want to use that video for this amount of time, for this much money. My husband and I licensed the video, which I'm realizing now I owe my son a little bit of money. Because at the time I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, UGC content's been around for a long time. Like, we see commercials now where you're like, what is this? And then you realize, oh, they're actually using people's videos in commercials on television. Like, that's awesome.
It's so awesome. And it just opens up the doors for so many people. Like I have 2 women in my course that are in either their 50s or 60s. I think maybe both in their 60s. They both got a UGC deal with L'Oreal, and they showed up on TV. Like they got pictures from their friends who were just watching TV one night, and there they are. Their faces show up on actual television. And it's once you realize just how many companies are needing and wanting UGC and wanting that authenticity, it's like the sky's the limit. And the kind of brands that you end up working with, you sometimes have to pinch yourself. It's exciting.
This is so good. So, okay. So when you talk about UGC work, and by the way, I continue to say user generated content because women in their 50s and 60s sometimes are like, wait a minute, what did it mean again?
Yes, yes.
So we spell it out. But who might it be for? Sounds like it's for a lot of different people. And who is it not for? Like, who should not do this by any means at all?
Yeah. We'll start with the latter. And this sounds obvious, right? But if you have zero desire to be on camera and that makes you like sick, don't do it. if like a lot of people, I get asked dozens of times a day, I get asked, can you do faceless UGC? Because that's a really big question for people. Or like for whatever reason, maybe they're not even uncomfortable on camera. They have like in their line of work, they just don't feel good about it, or they think they're going to get in trouble from their boss or something like this, which are all valid reasons. And my answer is always yes. There are opportunities for faceless UGC. I've had pretty big contracts with nail care companies and like luxury home products where I wasn't the face of the brand and I was just either showing my nails or showing the product. And those are very possible. And a lot of my students have gotten those kind of UGC deals. But I would say the mass majority of companies want you to show your face and they want that human element, especially now going into 2026. We're only going to see more AI-driven content where it would be quite easy for a company to make faceless content. So I think if you like really are totally against showing your face, it's probably not the best thing to get into.
Yeah. Unless your dog is willing to show their face, right?
That's true. That is a thing. Yes. If you're just wanting to
and my little Pitty has the cutest little face.
Exactly. Yes. That's a good point. Yeah. Dogs, cats. I do UGC with my 2 cats. Awesome. And that's for sure an option.
That's great. I saw you create content where you were talking about a kitty litter that you really love and that they were like, can we have your mom?
Okay, great story. This will help people just solidify this in their head. Yes. I reached out to a cat litter company because our cat litter sucked. And I've been wanting to work with them. Like I was very excited about it. I pitched them just a pretty simple email. They got back to me and they're like, oh yeah, I think we can maybe work with you. And then I got another email a little bit later and they're like, hey, we just did like a deep dive into your UGC portfolio and we saw your mom because we've done a few videos together, right? And so they're like, so we do want to work with you, but we don't want you in the videos. We just want your mom. And I did a happy dance because this is, of course, validating everything I've done for 2 years. And so I sent the screenshot to my mom and I'm like, hey, are you up for it? And she's like, of course. Yeah, it was literally just my mom. She came over a week and a half ago to my house and pretended my cats were hers. And it was fantastic. They loved it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I love that because I mean, when is, a Gen X woman being like chosen over a millennial to be like the face of anything,
In UGC, and that's what's so great about it.
That's the world, the UGC world. Yeah. So, okay. So I have consulted in podcasting. I've taught countless women how to launch podcasts. I don't do that stuff right now, but I could talk to you for an hour just about some of the challenges that come up. Specifically, we'll talk about Gen X. I don't know as much about boomers, but challenges that come up in women when they're putting themselves out there. So I'm wondering how much of your work is like, do these things, A, B, C, D, and how much of your work is like, you're amazing, stop overthinking it, like you can do this. Do you do a lot of coaching in your work?
I do. And I think that is the biggest thing. I mean, I always tell people, UGC, like to become a UGC creator is not super complicated. It's actually quite simple. Like I tell them, ABC, this is what you got to do. However, so many people get stuck in their heads. And
we like to complicate it, Megan.
I know it. I know it. I love you guys for it. But a lot of my time is spent, and I have my course, right? But I also have a Facebook group that my students get to be a part of if they wish to be. A lot of the posts in there, are, I don't know why I just can't get started. I don't know what's like causing this delay, and they want to do it so bad. And some of them even record videos and they got it set up, but they don't want to share it because they just get so in their head. And I think it's a multitude of reasons, obviously, depending on their background and like what's going on in their heads. But I think, and I've talked to a lot of Gen X women, especially, that do come from this mindset of, growing up, and the TV anchors were gorgeous. Everyone on TV, everyone in any type of commercial, supermodel status. And so even if I tell them a million times, be yourself and don't worry about it, it's still in the back of their head. And I think it doesn't quite click until they're willing to push over that hump and just put themselves out there. And I mean, there truly is like nothing like getting your first UGC deal, especially a paid one. It gives you that validation of, wow, okay, like this company paid me for this video. I didn't think it was like amazing, but they paid me for it. I'm sure there's other companies that want me to do the same thing. And so it is for sure a massive like mindset shift. And that's why I teach mindset. One of my students, Jolene, who made 6 figures her first year of doing UGC, she's all about mindset and showing up and knowing your worth. And I wanted to put that in there because it's such an issue, because it's such a common thing that I see in my students where they just can't, for whatever reason, they just can't get over that hump. And sometimes it just takes hearing from a fellow Gen Xer who is my student, who has stepped into it and is owning her age, owning who she is and how she shows up in the world. And it's allowing her to make a lot of money and work with some great brands.
That's awesome. And thank you also for acknowledging the fact that we did grow up at a very different time where everyone on TV looked a certain way. Even when they were playing like the regular person, they were not your average woman.
Girl next door.
No, it was just so perfect. And also just the messages, like, I don't want to take this in a totally different direction, but like the patriarchy. And I don't think women are as mean to other women as we like to say they are. I think we have been programmed that we're all in competition. And so we have to bring each other down because there are only enough seats for a select few. And so I think acknowledging the fact that this is how we were raised. These are some of the challenges that we faced. And some of those challenges, some of them are still here, but some of those challenges have shifted and changed. And so show the fuck up, girl. Like,
yeah.
just, you know?
And the fact, like, and what I love about UGC too, just doing it for a few years and especially coming into this space, is that like there doesn't have to be competition. Like we can cheer each other on. If somebody gets a UGC deal and it's for a company you want to work with, I think it's amazing. It's not like, oh my gosh, I wish I got that. It's like, oh my gosh, she got that. I also can get it too. I just have found so much support in community and just cheering each other on. It's something I'm very passionate about, of just like cultivating that type of community. Because I think as long as we're able to lift each other up, only good things will happen. And I've seen it like proven, time and time again, and my students just coming together, and they could be the exact same age. They could have similar lifestyles. They could have similar goals of who they want to work with, the brands they want to work with, but it's not competition because there's a room for everybody in this space, which is amazing.
That's phenomenal. So as a podcaster, you can imagine I, like probably you, get lots of bogus pitches. Some of them are just absolute BS. And so how do you teach your students how to spot like what might be legit and what might be like run the other way?
Yeah, there's a couple things to look out for. Anyone who's active on social media has probably got those DMs. Hey, we're a jewelry company. We're going to send you X amount of pieces of jewelry and all you have to do is post a review or something like that. I'd say just ignore those. Spend 0 seconds on those and just move on. And then another thing is if somebody reaches out, usually like in an email, they're claiming to be a big agency or a big company, but it's from a gmail.com email address, that is a big red flag. And it's not to say that a legit person can't use a gmail.com, right? It's just do a little bit of digging. And ChatGPT is great for this. They'll give you some info, but also just, spend a tiny bit of time on their website. Oh, does this email match up with what they're saying? And you can kind of, and it can be hard for people because it's exciting, right? It's, oh my gosh.
You want to believe it.
Yeah, you want to believe it's legit. Sometimes it is. Often, though, you're just trying to make it legit and wasting some time. So that's a really big thing to look out for. Is just and truly, it just comes down to doing some research and asking other people, hey, this person reached out to me. And sometimes this happens with my students because, whatever type of weird scams are going on, these companies reach out to a multitude of UGC creators. And so sometimes when one of my students posts inside the Facebook group, hey, this person reached out to me, this is what they said, and like 5 people will be like, oh, I got the exact same email. So that's typically going to be a big red flag. So those are just a couple of the main things to look out for.
Yeah, that makes sense. If your spidey sense says this is probably BS, it probably is.
Yeah,
so,
go with your gut. Go with your gut.
Yeah, totally. So talk to me a little bit about your mom's journey. So she comes in and she does this, with you for the first company. And did she just run with it? Is she like, oh, this is a whole new world for me now?
Yeah, so
because she's still a nurse.
Yep, she is busier than me and somehow has more energy than me. It's very, very confusing to me and my siblings. But so she did the first UGC deal with me. I just showed up at her house. We did it. She's down for anything. So, and she's fantastic on camera. She's just like she's just really good.
She's cute.
Yeah, she's super cute, and she does a great job. And so we did that one, and then, gosh, many, many months later, she was like, hey, I bought your course. And I'm like, first of all, why'd you buy my course? You're my mother. You birthed me. I think you should get access for free. And so she's like, no, I bought it. I'm going to take it. And so so she went through my course and she's like, I think I could do UGC. I'm like, of course you can. And so she got her portfolio up and running. She did. I remember she sent me, and just to give some background, my mom has 0% experience with anything to do with social media. She had her Instagram account, I think, had one picture, and she used it to send my sisters and I reels that were funny about parenting. And so she literally did
that tracks.
Yeah, exactly. And so she's never filmed herself before, never did not know what CapCut was or anything, right? So,
by the way, that's an editing software just for people.
Yes, yes. And so I think probably a lot of people can relate to this. But she comes with no background, been a nurse for over 40 years, raised 5 kids, 16 grandkids, and so she sent me her first video after going through my course and everything. And it was a little bit rough, not gonna lie. There was for sure some things I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I gotta help her with some stuff. But then she kept going. Literally that night I was at dinner with my family, and she sent me her second video, and it was a night and day difference, all because she was just willing to play around with it and have some fun. And she's actually so good at it. She's so good at UGC videos, though she does not think she is still. So right now, it's mainly us doing UGC videos together, which a lot of brands seem to want. And she's just taken it very, very part-time. Whenever a company reaches out to her, it's like, okay, is it worth it? But it's been really, really fun doing it together. And I've actually had a lot of my students kind of bring in their sons or daughters and do it with them to kind of get that perspective, because brands love it. They could literally tap into 2 different generations and age groups with this content we're creating for them. So it's been really fun, and it's fun to see my mom step into something, even though it's not like a full-time thing for her by any means. It was really fun for her, I think, to realize just how creative she was, because growing up, she's like, oh, you kids get your creativity from your dad. I have not a creative bone in my body. And I'm like, now she told me, she's like, it was pretty surprising. Number one, that I actually am more creative than I thought I was, and that things came easier to her than she was expecting, having no previous experience. So hopefully that gives some hope to some people with similar backgrounds.
Yeah, for sure. And so when I was teaching podcasting, the thing that tripped people up big time was editing. And so how do, Gen X and boomers get past that? Does the UGC creator always also do the edit?
Great question. So it depends on what brand, right? So I have most of the companies that hire me see my portfolio. They know that I edit my own videos. And every now and then I have companies that are like, yeah, we have an in-house editor. So don't worry about editing. We'll just send you the videos or just send us the raw videos. And so that happens, but usually I'm fully editing the videos. However, a ton of my students get UGC deals where the brand is like, yeah, we just literally need 15 B-roll, like raw footage, unedited clips of you using our products or talking about it, because they have a system and they can kind of replicate what they've already done. So there's a ton of UGC deals where you literally do not have to do any editing.
That's really cool. I never would have thought that.
It is really cool. And it kind of gives the brand, it's helpful for the brand because they can kind of do it, how they want. But I always tell people, like, never rely on that. You don't want to rely that, every single company is going to be like, oh yeah, we'll edit it for you. I always go with like, you have to know how to edit, right? And editing, oh my gosh, that is a huge question for people. Like, I'm glad you brought that up because that is a really, really big concern for so many people because they've never done it before. And if it, like, just video editing itself, like when you hear those words, it's like, you have to have a background in this or you have to have some experience. But I always remind people, number one, like if you look at my videos, I can get paid quite a bit of money now because I've been doing it a while and everything. Even the videos I do now are not complicated. They're very simple. Like I am basically taking a bunch of videos, like when my mom came over, I had her sit in different rooms, stand in different rooms and say different things. And I got just these clips and I put them all into CapCut. I moved them around a little bit and I kind of, split them up, and every now and then I'll add an overlay of a picture or, I'll do a voiceover. But these things are very basic. Once you know how to do them and you're willing to play around inside CapCut or whatever video editing app you use, it really is quite simple. And I think that I do see a lot of the time, like Gen X especially and boomers, but they overdo it with the editing and they add a bunch of transitions and like effects and like text, and it can be kind of distracting where it's not necessary, which is great. It's not necessary. So knowing that you don't have to do that is a relief to a lot of people. And I think that brands are for sure leaning more toward the simple edits, the very raw, authentic videos, because that's what people want to see and that's what they trust. So yeah, the editing is just a muscle, just like anything else, but it can sound intimidating.
Well, and maybe that's also for some people where you do bring in those younger kids that you have, young adults, and say, hey, I'll throw you a couple bucks to edit this. Like,
I have a lot of my students that they work with my son is really good at
I have 3 sons, so I'm on that.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course, like whatever works. And it can also be fun. I've had so many people just like include their family members in their UGC journey. And it just makes it more exciting and fun. And it's really cool to see.
So how long would, someone joins your class, they go through all the modules, they get into your Facebook group. How long would they expect to be working on this until they like get their first brand deal?
It's a complete mix. I have students who, I think I just had one post in the group. It took her a week to land her first deal. And I don't know what she was doing in that week, right? Sometimes like you have to know that there's timing, right? So sometimes you'll reach out to a company and you just are confident and you're like, I think they're going to hire me. And for whatever reason, the timing is off. Right now, there's some brands that are, have a huge budget to use for the first quarter and it's perfect timing. And they're like, yes, we're looking for somebody like you. Let's start out with a few videos and see how it goes. And the timing and everything just aligns. And that's wonderful when that happens. There's also, so many ways to connect with companies. So say that you get your portfolio done, you got some example videos in there and you decide to hop on some of these platforms or apps. Depending on like how many companies you're connecting with and contacting on those apps, like it's all a numbers game. And that's what people have to, I think that anybody who does not come from a business world or even, contract or freelance work, it's very hard to wrap your head around it being a numbers game because you want it to go quick, and you're like, oh, I got all this stuff, right? I should be landing deals. And that's where sometimes people get frustrated. But I think if you know going into it, it is a numbers game, and a no literally is not a personal thing. 99% of the time, people are very afraid of getting rejected, right? If a company says no to them and doesn't give any context on why, it hurts their feelings. And I get that. But I think going into it knowing that it is not personal, it's just not good timing. And I like to tell people, I've worked with a lot of brands up until this point, doing this over 3 years. I still get way more no's from brands than yeses. And for me, I'm like, that's completely fine. And every single time I get a no, I just move on. And I suggest this to my students is just move on. If you really want to work with them, put a calendar reminder for 30 or 60 days or 90 days out, and you may reach out to them again, and they could be like, oh yes, thanks so much, we would love to work with you. And it's like, oh my gosh, whoa, okay, I overthought that for nothing. So that's a really, really big thing to remember. It is a numbers game, and what you do put into it, you'll get out of it, right? You can't just sit in bed and just wait for companies to come to you. It's making that connection. And I think right now, and what I teach, part of what I teach is those companies you really want to work with, make a personal connection, right? Like do what other people aren't doing. So oftentimes I send Loom videos, which is just a screen recording software, and it allows them to see my face, see me talking directly to them, and it takes 3 minutes. And that has made me a bunch of money because most UGC creators are not willing to do that. Though it's not a heavy lift, it's just a different way of connecting. But it's unique and it feels personal. It feels like you care about the brand as opposed to you just copying and pasting a million emails to a million different brands. It's just more personal. So I always tell people if they're not having success with like reaching out or the apps or platforms, just send some Loom pitches and kind of see what happens. And it usually works out in their favor.
Yeah. And Loom is super easy to use. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, oh, I think this might be for me, what would be your one piece of advice that you would give them? Like in this moment, I'm fired up. I think I wanted to go for it. What should they know from you, Megan?
Do it. Like I literally remember the day I heard about UGC, and this is maybe for a lot of people listening right now, this is the first time you're hearing about it. I had such a good feeling about it. And this is after dozens of failed side hustles, right? Like there was no reason to believe I would be successful with UGC. But I had a good feeling about it. And I think that oftentimes we ignore those good feelings and we think, oh, other people are having success. It's probably not going to be me. Like, what are the chances? But I really want to encourage anybody who does have a good feeling about it. And it sounds fun and it sounds exciting. And you just feel good about, like, lean into that feeling and do the necessary steps to get going and create that momentum, because that's really all it is, especially at the beginning. Like, nobody's going to yank you out of bed and, tell you to pitch to this company and that company and do this and do that. Like, I'll teach you how to do that if you learn from me, but nobody's going to make you do it. But it's really creating that momentum and knowing that amazing things can come from it. It just makes me so excited and fuzzy inside knowing that so many of my students, because those are ones I keep up with, are living completely different lives. Like myself, my life is completely different, all because of UGC. But so many of my students, whether they were getting out of bad relationships or their career was just not doing it for them anymore, they have found UGC to not only allow them to pay their bills, obviously, which we all need, but it has created this spark of joy and excitement in their lives. And really, at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do. We want to do things in our lives that make us happy, help us pay our bills so we're not stressed out all the time, and just bring joy into our lives, because we've got a short time here on this earth. And I just think it's wonderful seeing so many people of all ages, especially Gen X and Boomers, just completely own this space and have so much joy in it.
That's awesome. And I want to side note, if UGC doesn't sound like something for you, if you're listening, You, Megan, have gone from learning about it, doing it, continuing to do it, being successful, and teaching other people and being successful at that. So maybe if UGC is not the thing, what is the thing that you've learned or that you are learning that you can share with other people and create a course or create a workshop or whatever it is? So like, there are a lot of different ways to do online business, and I just think that you really inspired me when I saw your work, when I saw the way you talk, the way you show up, that you're always in a different hat.
I am, except
you've got a whole, I can imagine a wall in your house, just hats.
Oh yeah, you're correct.
And so it was just very inspiring. It was if anyone does zero after this episode to move into this world, just the idea that they can show up as themselves and do something that's different that might seem hard and impact a lot of people's lives. So thank you for being an example of that. And thanks for seeing the value in our generation and the boomers and all the work that you're doing.
I really appreciate that. And you're right. There are so many ways to make money, right? And that's the thing is I think people are overwhelmed because they see every single day, they're inundated with all these different people, all these faces saying, you can make money this way, you can make money this way. And UGC is not right for everybody. But like your example, just being able to teach people how to do this, is completely expanded my life and it brought me so much fulfillment knowing that what I teach is helping impact their lives in a positive way. So for people who are hearing about this, or UGC, I don't think it's my thing. I just if you just show up and you are authentic and you truly care about people, show up and want to help them, only good things will happen for you and the people you're helping. Social media has made it possible to reach so many people and help so many people in their life. As long as you're willing to do it, I think really amazing things can happen.
Okay, so what do we think? I've been creating videos for a long time, so this seems like a reasonable next step. And maybe it is for you too. The fact that businesses are looking for women our age, we don't have to have a lot of experience, and we don't even need a following. I think this is a really cool option for an online business. And like I said in the episode, if it's not this, I hope that this episode inspired you to see the whole world of online business, and maybe there is something there for you. If you want to learn more about Megan, I am linking to her TikTok, her Instagram, her course, all of it in the show description. So just check it out there. And if you liked this episode, please share it with a friend. You know someone who could totally kill it doing UGC. And don't forget to subscribe. We're on YouTube, we're on the podcast apps, we're on Instagram. I will link to all of the things in the show description. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time, remember, you are a grown-ass woman. Act accordingly.